Coming up next is Dr. Kimberly Taylor. Here's your chance to talk about what matters to you. Although you will receive helpful advice from Dr. Taylor, remember, this is not to be construed as a form of psychotherapy, diagnosis, or treatment, and cannot replace a therapeutic relationship with a mental health professional. You can reach Dr. Taylor by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. You can also listen live on the internet at drkimtaylorshow.com. So here now is Dr. Kimberly Taylor.
It's January and a brand new year. I wonder how many of you are out there right now making your New Year's resolutions. It's certainly the time of year where the allure for a brand new start is so strong that when January rolls around, roughly 1 in 3 of us will resolve to better ourselves in some way starting today. The start of a new year is the perfect time to turn a new page. It's like a new year, a new you. It's probably why so many of us create New Year's resolutions, because a new year often feels like a fresh start. It's a great opportunity to get rid of bad habits and to start some new routines, especially if the old habits are no longer working for us. The only problem is we bring the same old person to the new event and think that this time it's going to be different, that somehow we will be a different person as of January 1st than the one we left behind on December 31st. The reports show that only 8%, yes, that's 8% of people who make a resolution will succeed by the end of the year. And that 54% will completely give up their resolution within 6 months. And of those, some will even abandon them in the very first week. But here's some good news. A study from the Journal of Clinical Psychology found that people who make resolutions are 10 times more likely to change their behavior than those who don't. And if you can make it through January, you have a good chance of lasting a whole lot longer. The top 10 New Year's resolutions, and this is according to the most recent Harris poll, is to lose weight, to improve your finances, exercise more, eat healthy, get a new or better job, manage stress more effectively, quit smoking, improve a relationship, stop procrastinating, and making more time for self. And then don't we all know people who make the same resolution year after year? Or wait, maybe you are that person. The truth is that resolutions are much easier to make than to keep. And by the end of January, many of us just have already abandoned our resolve and settled back into our old patterns. So the question becomes, how can we increase the probability of actually keeping our New Year's resolutions past January? Here are some tips that I hope will help you to really make them stick. The first one is, please know that keeping resolutions has very little to do with willpower. Success or failure depends on how you approach change and then how you plan and set up a plan of action for success. So pick one goal at a time. Focus on one. Work on one. Bad habits are hard to break, and they are impossible to break if we try to break them all at once. Then next, be realistic and specific. Start small and build. Nothing defeats us faster than feeling overwhelmed before we ever begin the process. Also, you want to be able to measure your progress. So don't say, I want to exercise more. What's more helpful is to say, I'm going to exercise at least 30 minutes per day, and then keep a record of it. When you succeed, congratulate yourself. Say, good job. Here's another one. You have to make time, and you have to block it out in your calendar. Be willing to put yourself first. I have a friend who blocks out time every morning in her calendar, and she does it so that she has this time to herself to exercise, and nothing gets planned in that hour. She says unless she books it just like any other appointment, it will never happen, and it works for her. After you commit to a change, a good thing to do is to tell others, and here's why. Your friends can support you and they can encourage you, and also telling other people keeps the pressure on you to try and stick to your plan of action. Disappointing yourself is one thing, but then having to share it with your 200 plus friends on Facebook is a whole nother issue. And next, build in a reward system. So for every week of healthy eating and exercise, treat yourself to something special and to reward yourself for a job well done. It's the small wins that helps us to keep moving forward, much more than just one occasional bigger win. And lastly, ditch perfection. Trying to be perfect will only overwhelm and paralyze you. Allow for the imperfections to come in. That self-doubt, the days when it's too hard, let it happen. It's just part of the process. But don't let it become the fuel that then feeds the false belief that you are never good enough. Keep the big picture in mind and continue to move forward, just step by step. So, are you in or are you out this year? Are you making a resolution? And if not, there's always next year. But in the meantime, if something is going on with you and you want help or you want to talk about how to set up a plan, just pick up the phone and give me a call. Whatever's on your mind, this is your time and your hour. Get on the phone and give me a call. You can reach me by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. And I'll be right back to take your calls after the break. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
I would very much like to welcome a new sponsor to our program, Robert Sessa of Sessa Wealth Management Group. They are a full-service brokerage advisors who offer a full array of financial services to help you achieve your investment objectives. They have built a solid base of satisfied clients through the years, so check them out at SessaWealthManagement.com. That's SESSA wealthmanagement.com. So I'm here now with Sandy Jacoy, our screener. Hi, Sandy. How are you this new year?
I'm good. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. The same to you.
Thank you.
Now, have you made your New Year's resolutions?
Oh, my gosh. I knew you were going to ask me that. Well, I know I've been thinking about making it procrastination, but I haven't gotten around to making it yet. So I'm stealing that from our radio station manager. That was actually his, but I thought it was pretty funny. Actually, yeah, it's to get organized. It is. And when you were reading down, I heard that in there, and I thought maybe I need to call Sessa Wealth Management because that would be helpful, but I don't have any money, so it doesn't help. I don't think it's going to help.
Oh, do you tend to make them and break them, or do you tend to just let the year go by and let it pass?
I always have great intentions, and
I know.
For me, it's really about managing and balancing and staying mindful and intentional about being able to do it. And I, just one wind blowing in the opposite direction, and I lose it. It's gone.
And you're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very hard to stay on track because I think when we do lose it, when the wind does come up, when anything comes up, a hangnail, anything, right, that it is hard to stay with it because we think somehow that it has to do with willpower and that if we were just stronger, if we were just better, we could stick to it. But the truth is it has nothing to do with the willpower.
What do you think? Well, what is it? That would be helpful.
What it is and what it comes down to is really having a plan because it's hard work. You have to set a plan to create a change. When I said the thing about the willpower and the part of our brain that is involved in all of this is just a very small part. It's in the prefrontal cortex, and it's right behind the forehead. But it's got
That's where my headache is.
I know.
All the time. Is that what that's saying? It's like trying to get my attention there?
Well, that part of your brain has so much to do that it can't be bothered by just trying to get you to do these tasks and to keep on task. It's got other things that it's really having to deal with. So I think willpower lasts maybe a day or two, maybe a week, and in a good way, maybe 2 weeks. And after that, you have to do the hard work.
And I liked what you said about starting small and building. So, like, if it's not a willpower issue and just being able to be intentional about it, for somebody like me who wants to, quote unquote, get organized, what would a small piece look like?
Well, the first
in a big picture like that.
Well, the first one, you have to be specific. You said you wanted to maybe, do the finances, but is it the finances that you want to get organized in, or is it your closet?
Good. That's a good. Probably a little of both. I have to admit. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you start with something small? I've got my closet down right now. I figured that out, but on any given day that could go. But
well, I think that the research goes back and forth, and it's whether we do just one at a time or whether we pair them up. Sometimes they say pairing them up is good, like to do healthy eating and exercise. Those kind of pair well. If you're trying to tackle something else and it's big, just pick one part of it and then just do that and just do it step by step.
So something as small as just even like picking one room to go through and say, I'm just going to stick with this one room or one closet? No?
Start with one drawer in that room.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then move to the next one.
And do you think that writing it down, having something very concrete is helpful? Because I've done some reading, and sometimes I hear that if you do something very concrete, make something very intentional like a list, and have something you can check off, that sometimes that can keep you on task. I forget to make the list, but after that, once in a while I've had success with that.
Okay. Well, if you find out by making the list that you actually see, wow, I'm actually making progress, then a list is good for you. But if you're talking about, should I, for instance, weigh myself each day to see if I lose weight? Well, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing, because if you don't lose weight, does that mean that you give it up and you're going off your diet, or does that motivate you to work harder?
So it's more like a theme. Like bunching things together more like a theme. Like I'm going to be more organized or more balanced across my life, and just finding little things in within that theme that I can fulfill each day, whether it would be taking 5 minutes in the morning to read a devotional or to write a gratitude list or go for a walk in the morning. So just like...
Well, I think you have to find out which way works best for you. Is just kind of keeping a global theme best for you? Because then you can just in general think about, I just want to be healthier, and so to be healthier, I'm going to eat well today, I'm going to exercise today. Or if the theme is to be kind, you can just be kind to all the people in your life, so that could work. But for you, what I know about you is that you're kind of competitive. You like a list, you like to see about winning, so maybe a list would be better for you, so you could check it off and go, okay, I really feel like I'm making progress toward this goal.
And maybe a little gray with a happy face and a sticker?
And chocolate.
And chocolate.
Don't forget the chocolate.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
How about you, Kim? Do you make resolutions?
No. But what I actually like to do, it isn't that I don't work hard. I work hard, but what I like to do at this time of year, and more kind of toward the end, I start to think about this, is to really review the past year and look at what's been working and then what hasn't been working. So I can kind of let go of some stuff so I don't have to carry it on into the new year, and I can try new things that way. And it just makes me feel like I am constantly changing and creating something new and having the space to do that. But if I was to make one plan each year to do one thing, I don't think I would get very far for myself.
So you like to review the whole scene and see what it looks like and see if there's anything in the landscape you need to change. So it's a big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the small picture.
Yeah. I think we both have to find out what works for us, and that we all need to know how can we motivate ourselves. I think one of the good ways is to create a support group so that other people can help to keep you on track, and or to do it with others who are trying to achieve the same goal.
Yeah.
That helps too.
Accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So for what you know about yourself after looking at your big landscape, is there any changes that you're making that you think you need to make for next year? You should see the look I'm getting right now.
Well, Sandy and I spoke about this, and what we both need to do is to be able to schedule our day so that we plan for ourselves first, so that we're taking care of ourselves. And I know that sometimes it's hard when you do that, because when somebody then comes in and asks, well, can I have that time or that space, or can you come here and do this? That's very easy to put yourself second on that list, or third or fourth. And so it's very hard to keep yourself first on that list and to keep that as kind of a sacred time that it's just for yourself.
Yeah. Like your friend, you can block out exercise time.
Yeah, and she did that no matter what. The house could be on fire, and she would still, book that out, and it was that important to her.
I think they need to come up with a medication for that. Be a lot easier.
Maybe a pill that would help you to do that?
Yes, that's what I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a motivation medication.
Yeah.
They probably have those, but they're probably illegal. I'm going to guess. I haven't found one yet, but I am waiting for that one. That would be good.
All right. So I think we're going to go to calls and see what else is out there on people's minds and see what we can do today to help.
Great.
All right. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Sandy. We'll be right back after this next break. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
Hi, we're on the phone now with Stuart. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Dr. Kim. I was just calling with a question that I had.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people that I grew up with as a kid at the Boys and Girls Club ended up going to jail for a pretty serious crime, and he's coming up for trial soon, so he hasn't been convicted, although it seems likely that he will be. And I'm a writer, and that's what I'm going to school for right now. And basically, I wanted to talk to him about his experiences and how he got to where he was. But it's been so long since I've spoken to him at all that I don't know whether it's invasive to even try and approach him to talk to him about the subject, if I should just let it go, or if it's worth pursuing.
Mm-hmm. And you want to write a story about his life?
Well, it would be an essay about basically where both of us came from and how his life had gone and how my life had gone. We had learned to juggle at the Boys and Girls Club at the same time and grew up in similar sorts of families, and things just went so completely different for both of us.
Okay. So you're really curious as to what happened to him, why it happened, why he made the choices that he made, and what he feels about where he's at this particular point in his life.
Right.
Okay. You say that you were close friends while you were growing up?
We weren't particularly close. We just grew up for most of our childhoods together at the Boys and Girls Club, and it was an experience that we had together. So if I were to call him, well, I couldn't call him. If I were to write him up, it would be really hard for me to say. I don't know what I could say, basically, because we don't have a lot in common. We split from each other so early in life, around like the end of middle school.
Okay. Tell me why this is important to you.
It's important to me because I do know a lot about his family and his situation, and actually some of my closest friends are his relatives, and I know how their family is dealing with it, and so it just has a lot to do with where we grew up and where we come from. And I think that what I want to talk to people about is how someone can do something completely, abhorrent and still have something of a good person in them.
So you believe there is a good person in him?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you want to be able to, it sounds like, write about that good person?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you hope to do with this story or essay that you would write?
Well, in the end, I would try and publish it someplace, and hopefully to advocate on behalf of just the way we talk about criminals, because we're so quick to assume people are guilty that it oftentimes just does leave out the human side of the situation. And so even though we didn't know each other that well growing up, I was thinking I would write him a letter to start talking to him about this, but I really don't know what to say to even start that conversation.
Well, I think the letter has to come from what this means to you and why you would be doing it and why you're reaching out to him in particular versus just picking anyone that is in jail. That it sounds like you have some connection with him and that you care about him and that there's a part of you that believes that he is a good person, so you're surprised at where he's at in his life right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you came at it with that kind of caring, with that kind of concern, with that kind of wish to put a voice and to give him a voice to say how he truly feels about this, it might be a place that he could respond. If you're just going in and just wanting to do a story and you're not really connecting to him, he might be less inclined to do that.
Yeah, and that's the last thing I would want, is to make him think that I'm exploiting him. And that's the last thing I would want to do, is actually to exploit him. Because I know that... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think that's one of the most important things that you start out with, because sometimes when we share with people what our greatest fear is, and we say it up front, so just share part of your process by saying to him, I do not want to exploit you. That is not my objective here. That is the last thing that I would want to do. And then tell him what it is that you do want to do.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess that I could write him a letter to the jail and express my sentiments that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose from there it's kind of on his hands to decide if he wants to continue that dialogue or not.
Yes, and he definitely needs to choose that, but I think by you sharing different parts of how you feel about this and letting him know that, number one, that somehow you do still care for him and the time that the two of you had, that it has been a long time since you have spoken to him, that you are not trying to exploit him in any way, but you definitely want to be able to put a voice to perhaps what he is going through and his feelings about that, in just helping other people to understand about those who make the wrong choices and get into trouble.
Well, that sounds like... It sounds good. It is something I'm nervous about doing, but I think if I, like I said, do it the way you've suggested, then the worst that could happen is he could say he's not interested, or he could say nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just to go back for a moment, what is the thing that you're most nervous about? Is it that your fear that you think he will think you are trying to exploit him, or is there something more?
Well, there's that, which is just a couple of things that could happen out of this is that, I could offend him, and I wouldn't want to do that. But I could also, in just writing this thing, even if I don't exploit him, it could very well come off as me defending the actions that this person has done. And so that's something I'm worried about. But I think what's more important to me is how I portray him.
Okay, and that's part of the art of being a writer, is finding the right tone, finding the right way, finding the right words, and hopefully being able to express yourself so that it's true to what you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Second part of this, Stuart, is that you sound very caring and sensitive to other people's feelings. So I think that you can trust yourself that you're going to be handling this and being sensitive to the needs of others, and that you will know by what he says or how he responds whether you want to move forward with this.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dr.
Okay. Good luck with that. It will be a very interesting story to read. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Hi, we're on the phone with Richard. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Dr. Kim.
Hi, how can I help you today?
Well, I need some family support help. My eldest son is making applications to college, and we've been very supportive and pretty excited about what he's doing. But some of the, responses are starting to come in. And this week was a rejection from University of Wisconsin. And he's troubled by it. He's anxious about it. And I'm trying to figure out how to best support him as he goes through this process.
Okay. How many colleges did he apply to?
He's got about 8 on his hit list.
Okay, so that's a good amount. And
Yes.
Of the ones that he did choose, what does he feel about this particular one?
This was essentially an also-ran, but a very good school, and had programs in his interest, but it's not his number one choice.
Okay, so it's probably a good thing that he didn't get in.
Perhaps, yeah.
Okay. Well, what have you talked about as far as what to think about colleges and how college picks students, and what has been the conversation around that?
It's been one of, he's a quality candidate, and he's going to figure out a good place to go to school, and the one that fits is the one that's going to end up being, his first choice, but that, he's applied to a broad range of schools, and he knows some are, some are a stretch, and some should be a bit easier. We've encouraged him to not take it all too seriously, and yet it's a very serious choice.
Okay. And what does he say about this particular school that he did not get an acceptance? What are his comments about this?
He thought it would be more of a backup. He thought this was going to be not a slam dunk, but a likely admission. And that's really what's kind of shocked him, disappointed him here.
Okay. Do you think that he feels that because he didn't get the slam dunk one, that might mean that he's not going to get any of the other ones on the list?
I think that's where his concern, his anxiety comes from.
Okay.
This was a secondary choice, and it didn't pan out the way he wanted to. I think he's beginning to doubt his primary choices, perhaps.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I think is very devastating for the kids is that this is probably one of the first times in their life that they really put themselves out there. And it's really about sending all of this out and then saying, please choose me. And what they need to understand a lot about this is that the schools don't necessarily pick the best students as far as the ones that get the best grades or have the most volunteer hours or the most sports, that they really have a shopping list, that they're going through their shopping list and saying, okay, we need 2 bottles of this and 2 bottles of that, and that it is a very hard process when the kids start to think that it is because it means that they are not good enough. It just means that whatever category they wanted to fill within that school has already been filled up, and that what the school is now taking is other students to fill the other categories that they also need to fill up. So I think for all students at this time, it's a difficult time. They feel very vulnerable. They're kind of scared. They're hearing that their other classmates are either getting in, and they're getting scared about their own spot and whether they'll find something. And I think that the best thing that parents can do is do a lot of reassuring and letting them know that things will work out. I think the fact that you have, said that he is a quality student, just tell him that this is the time that we really have to have faith that things will work out the way that they're supposed to.
That's very helpful. I think logically that makes sense, and we do kind of appreciate that schools are trying to draft a broad range of students into their student body, but ultimately it feels like a rejection of who he is, and I think that's been the most difficult part to manage. You're right. I'm trying to encourage him to think beyond just the one school, or they're not picking, quote, the best. They're picking a broad range of folks, and he may be the best for a different school.
Right, and that The other part of this is that they've actually never met him. This is just him on paper. And so they are only getting a very small view of who he is. And that he just needs to understand that everybody is in the same boat. Everybody is just as scared as he is. Believe me, they are all very high strung at this point in their school life, and as they're trying to make this big change, and they don't want to be seen as the one that didn't get picked on any team.
Yeah.
So you have probably been through this kind of experience, or applied for a job that you might not have gotten, and you're just going to have to help him during this time to keep reassuring him that it's okay to be disappointed, but that he has a good chance of getting into one of these places, and that it all will work out, that he can trust in some way that it will be a good fit once it all kind of pans out.
Thanks, Dr. Kim. We'll call you back and let you know where he ends up.
Okay. Has he been accepted into any other school right now?
No, this was the first response.
Oh, yeah.
The others happened late February. So
okay, so there's still...
We've got 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months of managing the rejection.
Yes. Well, since it is the first one, it is probably the hardest one, but just wait until that one comes through. His whole personality is going to have a big shift, because he'll breathe a big sigh of relief to know that he at least got in someplace. And then I'm sure all of the others will come in, and he will get to choose which place that he wants to go, and the tables will be turned.
That sounds great.
All right.
Thanks for the advice.
All right. Good luck with all of that. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
We are talking about New Year's resolutions today, whether you're making them, keeping them, or perhaps breaking them. Give me a call and share your goals so that we can make a plan for you to succeed, and you can become a part of the small percent that does last longer than the end of January. You can reach me at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. And I want to remind you that this program is also rebroadcast Thursday evenings at 10 p.m. and Sundays at noon. You can also now hear the program live on the internet by going to my website at the Dr. Kim Taylor Show. And you can now subscribe on iTunes to the podcast of the Dr. Kim Taylor Show and any future shows that you can download. So what I wanted to also let you know that this coming Sunday, if you couldn't call in or did not get in, that there is a chance that you can reach me, where I will be taking your phone calls, and you can check out my website for the time and how to do that. So just go to drkimtaylorshow.com. All right, so we're going to go back to a call. Let's see, I believe we have Ted on the line. Hi, this is Dr. Kim, and we're on the phone now with Ted. Hi, Ted.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the program. What can I do for you today?
Well, I was in the Tea Fire, which was 5 years ago, and I'm still having, although we moved back into a house, into our house a few months ago, I'm still having trouble relaxing.
Okay, so you are talking about the big fire that we had here in Santa Barbara, and it sounds like your house was one of the houses that was burned down?
Yes.
Okay, so you're currently back in a house, but it is in a rebuilt house?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so tell me what is going on. What are the thoughts that you're having?
Well, it's just I still feel defended, that not in terms of the fire, but just can't let go of, I feel locked down, not free and easy, not relaxed.
Okay.
Can't seem to get over this feeling.
Okay, and tell me what the feeling is. You said locked in, but what else?
That's it.
Okay.
Locked in, locked down, not being able to breathe easy.
Okay. And is there any part of your life that you don't have this worry?
Not really.
Okay. But right now, the truth is that you are safe.
It's not in relation to fire or anything. I know I'm safe.
Okay.
I basically can't relax.
All right. So there's always kind of being on edge because of the experience that you went through.
Yes, that's right.
Do you ever think of fighting it?
I don't think in those terms, no.
Because right now, what's happening, it sounds like, is that you are letting these thoughts of what had happened to you in the past continue to evade your present thinking.
Not really. It's not my thoughts.
What are your thoughts?
I don't have thoughts of catastrophe in any way. It's more of a feeling of not being able to let go of the experience.
Okay, and with that, you are really, in fact, making yourself sick.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so you say that you're not thinking about this and that you're not feeling sick, but that you have this sense of being locked in and restless.
I'm not desperate.
I actually didn't say desperate. I said locked in.
And
restless.
Restless. Oh, that would be a fairly accurate. Yes.
Okay. What do you do when you are thinking and feeling those thoughts and feelings? What do you do?
I try to ignore them and continue working and doing what I normally do.
Okay, but what it sounds like, and why you're calling, is because you haven't been very successful at doing that. They're still invading your thoughts and invading your feelings.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, that's why you called, right? Because I think what you bring up is a very important issue. That when people,
there's a couple of hundred of us, at least. Well, there's probably about 400 or more people who were affected by this fire. So I just thought this would help.
Right.
Others in this situation.
These thoughts and these feelings kind of invade your present life right now.
Yes, and it makes it more difficult to be creative. I'm basically an artist. Just feel that flow that I'd like to get back to.
Okay. If, for instance, I was doing what you're doing right now, and I was worried about all of these other things in my life, or what other people might be thinking about what we're talking about, or whether I have a right to say what it is that I'm saying, or all those sorts of things. If I was letting all of my fears bother me in the present moment, then I wouldn't be able to focus and be in the moment with you. So what you're doing right now is that you're worrying about all of these things instead of being in the present time, because in the present you are safe, and that the fire and the damage is in the past.
Right.
Okay, so I think that you really do need to see how you're making yourself somewhat sick by letting these thoughts invade your daily life right now and keep you from being creative and getting back to thriving in your life and moving past what has happened.
I think that's right on.
Okay. So maybe what would help is that each time these thoughts come up, just so you can start to become more aware about how prevalent they are, is to just keep a journal and write the fears each time they come up. And the more that you realize how often you do it, just making yourself aware of this is going to help you to decrease it. Because right now, the only thing that you do have control over is your thoughts. And you have to be able to shut them off and say, I'm not going to get into this. I am safe. I am okay in the present, and I'm going to let that go and stay in the past. And then move forward.
I like the idea of keeping a journal and putting down what your thoughts are moment to moment is a very useful thing to do.
Well, and I think that
in this situation.
Yeah, and I think that when someone goes through a trauma like that there is the fear of being trapped, and then to be able to kind of sort out your feelings and to start to get a sense of being back in control, and that your world is just not going to spin out of control, and there's nothing that you're going to be able to do about it. Because the truth is that when the fire was probably coming, you felt that you're very powerless, that there wasn't a lot that you could do about it. So your mind is still adjusting to all of that. And as you work through this and as time goes by, you do have to let your mind know that it can stop thinking those thoughts, that you actually do have control over something. And what we do have control over is our thoughts. So you can work to help shut them off and to say that you're not going to get into it and to be able to think about something more positive.
That sounds like a good idea. Sounds like it will be helpful.
Yes, and I think for anyone who has experienced some kind of trauma like this, it is true that those thoughts can come back to us. They can invade our present moment. And there is a sense of being trapped in the past. There is a sense that you're bringing the past into the present. So what I would say is that you do have control over your thoughts. You don't have control over that fire and what actually happened. But having a sense of regaining control over your thoughts and choosing the thoughts that come into your head is something that you can do now.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. And I'm glad to hear that you're well and that you're past part of this and that you're back in a new home.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kim.
Thanks for calling. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. So the start of a new year has always been a time to look forward to the coming year with hope and anticipation, while also taking the time to reflect back on the past year and to really think about what you need to leave behind. It's time to turn the page, decide what you want this coming year, and then be willing to do the work to make that happen. Keep in mind that change is a step-by-step process, and if you happen to get off track, remember it takes only one step to get back on the right path. Just one. Just the next step. Don't get overwhelmed, and for goodness sakes, don't beat yourself up. Don't get discouraged. Just choose again in the direction that you want to go, and then move forward. Take time each day to decide what you need and what you need to do to feel right for yourself. Hopefully by now, and the time that you have heard this program, you know that if you do not take care of yourself, then it's going to be very hard to care for the other people in your life, and it's going to be very hard for you to be happy and healthy in your own life. So let's make a New Year's resolution to meet here every Thursday afternoon between 2 and 3. Make it a place that you can come to ask for help, to change the way you approach this new year so that you can reach your goals and have the life and the relationships that you want. Vow to build a support system so that you don't have to do it alone. I'll be here, your Thursday afternoon psychologist, so you be here too. I would like to let you know that there are now several ways that you can tune in. You can listen here at KZSB AM 1290 every Thursday afternoon from 2 to 3, or you can listen to the program live on the internet or even on your smartphone by going to my website at drkimtaylorshow.com and just clicking on the radio icon. And if you want to listen to any past shows, you can now find them posted on my website, or you can download them for free as a podcast on iTunes. What I'm also hearing from my tech guy is that if you subscribe through iTunes, you will automatically be sent the podcasts as they become available. So if you couldn't call in, there is going to be a chance for you to reach me this Sunday where I will be taking calls. It's really easy to find out the info for that. You can check out my website, again, at drkimtaylorshow.com. So as we close, I want to thank Sandy Jacoy, my screener, and also Richard Dugan, who keeps things going and pushing all the buttons here. I would like to thank them both for all the help that they have done. So let's keep this Thursday date going into the new year. Write it in your date books and tell your friends to write it in theirs. Make some notes about what you would like to talk about, and then give me a call. I'll be here every Thursday, so I hope that you will be here too. Meanwhile, have a great week, and I hope that this will be a very happy and healthy new year for you and the people who are near and dear to you. And don't forget, nobody else has to change in order for you to get better.